he opens up the door to her, he allows her in, and what follows is, I think, a very, very sad story about how somebody was manipulated and was kind of cudgeled into a corner in their mind by one person and destroyed by this man who she was very open and honest with. If you're a creative person, I think you could identify with this story, especially if you're young. A lot of people's confidence is taken away by people in authoritative positions who sometimes didn't quite cut mustard and have the life that they wanted to have in their chosen field, which is art. And this particular story, the first story, is very, very interesting, but the second story, for me, runs very deep.
Joe is a sort of catalyst, isn't he? He's there in the house that she's gone back to confront these memories. And because, I think it's just because he's there, he's so unthreatening, and her memories are so vivid. And she just starts telling him what has happened in this house. And I think because she does that, she manages to exercise really some of the things. Because I think she says things to him, and this is what is scary, I think, that he will be stuck with. And I find that a kind of a mixture of things. I mean, it's nice for her, good for her to be able to unburden herself of them, but she has, in actual fact, put a lot in his head, and I don't know if he would ever get rid of them.
Did you say, you fucking prick? You done this to me, now you fucking do something about it and get me my job back.
I didn't say that, Joe, no.
You didn't?
I couldn't.
Well, why not?
Don't get impatient with me, Joe, please.
I think it's very cathartic that she does that, but I do think that she's unburdened herself and she's put a load of problems on Joe, who's very young and very impressionable, and God knows what's left in his mind at the end of it.
He's of a different class, he's of a different... completely, he's of a different mind and culture. And he comes into their lives, or rather they come into his life. And I think I was drawn to the extraordinary circumstance of this young man being plonked, quite literally, into an alien world.
This is the old floor, which has been hidden for over half a century in this house, which has never been seen by, well, probably never been seen by any living person. But it's been covered all this time because the people that had this...
You shot down.
Yeah, and shot on you standing on this lovely floor.
I wasn't
And yes, and staring up this great stairwell. And so this has been completely hidden. And this is where you played your first scene, just here, which is again on this rather spooky, rather beautiful wall.
It's been terrific because he's... I think the word is demanding, and he works you very hard, and because he's written it too, he knows exactly what he wants, and I defy anybody not to give Stephen what he wants. You will bend over backwards to try and do so anyway.
And I was thinking too, have I used what happened with Greville as an excuse? My whole life? For the loss of my talent.
It's good because you don't often get rehearsal time, so it's actually a real benefit and bonus. And we had 3 days reading through the whole script with Maggie Smith, which was marvellous. To watch a genius at work's good. And then we sort of did another 3 or 4 days, just David and I and Stephen. And that was great. It was usually in sort of private members clubs or at David's house, which is very intriguing, and so it was good fun, and it helped you bond as actors and characters, as well as working through Stephen's script, which is so intricate that everything means about 4 things, so working through it is really important, I think, before you go onto set.
The most difficult was learning the damn thing, which was really pretty hard. It was a lot to learn, I have to say, and it won't seem as though it is, because a lot of it is voiceover, but Stephen wanted me to learn it, and in the actual fact that was a very good thing to do, I think, because it sounds more immediate than just a voice narrating. Okay. Or at least I hope it does.
In casting Greville, I first met several very fine classical actors, but David Walliams, who was the idea of the casting director, Andy Pryor, I was startled when that came up, but I met David. We auditioned in this very space we're talking in now, and he was so hard-working and so into the script and so intelligent and so eager to be directed that I was semi-converted, not completely converted that first meeting, because we had another very long second audition, but by which time I was persuaded that he was the most interesting. He's got a fantastic presence, this tall man with this very period face, a sort of extraordinary face, a bit like a thin Charles Lawton, a sort of really powerful presence. And so we did a lot of rehearsal and a lot of talk about the character and about the 50s and 60s. I mean, David's very knowledgeable about history and very knowledgeable about literature, and it was great to be able to have the time to talk about the character and to rehearse.
When I'd sort of heard about Stephen Polycoff, I'd imagined a very serious, sort of shadowy figure. But what I met was a man with an incredible sense of fun. I mean, real intelligence and intellectual rigour, but we have had a real laugh, as you say, making this show as well. I mean, in between the takes. He's very serious about what he does, but he's got a great sense of humour, and he works very closely with actors. He seems to really love actors and wants to create the right environment for them to give their best work.
When we got on the floor, and the first scene that we shot was the kitchen scene, when they first talk, young Mary and Greville. Both actors were completely locked into each other, and then we did these huge long takes of about 10 minutes, and again in that very big scene in the blue bedroom when Ruth's in the yellow dress. Again, huge, long 10-minute takes, 10-minute takes, just shoot the whole scene on different lenses, because that was the way the actors wanted to do it, and instead of breaking it into lots of little bits. And they never forgot a line. I can't remember a single time when they stumbled on a line or had to go again because they dried or fumbled. It was a quite amazing amount of concentration that I've never seen before on a film set.
Well, as for me, I'm really going to shock you, I think. I got involved in this project when my agent gave me a call to say, would you like to audition for Stephen Polycoff? And of course I said yes. I imagine Maggie Smith doesn't have to audition, but I do, and it's great because we had 2 two-hour auditions, which is very unusual for actors. Normally you're in and out in 10 minutes, and Stephen worked really closely with me getting my performance to a stage he was happy with, and then when I got the part I was overjoyed.
I know it seems spooky down here, but it isn't. It is in fact rather beautiful.
Beautiful. Maybe, in a way. Greville is this. I'm not sure if it's not really his impact. It's more what he has. He has a huge influence and power in her world, in her journalistic world. So he's dangerous in that way, because if you're not on the right side of him, you're on the wrong side, and you're gonna, he's gonna affect you, and that's exactly kind of what he does. And it's, but she dares with him, and she dares to play the game with him, which a lot of women at that time wouldn't even think of doing that. So she's confident and bolshy and curious, and that's kind of what gets turned. And he takes that to heart when she rejects him. Ultimately, it all goes wrong.
He is a socialite, and